we were talking last week about this, about something really awesome, a piece of history that we could own, available to us now for the low, low price of $550,000. And that is Mary's City of David Hotel. Ken Lundberg's here. We talked, Ken, last week about this just because we saw the real estate listing
That's right.
and it was a pretty cool thing. And then we started the wheels turning of what would it be like to own it ourselves?
That's right. That's right. Downtown Benton Harbor, just off Main Street on, I think it's Colfax and Wall. It's known as the House of David Hotel, Mary's Fireproof Hotel. It was known as a couple other things in between, and one of our tipsters found the post
Mhm.
renewed on Facebook. It said, "Hey, price reduced." The hotel that's sitting there, it's kind of an iconic monument,
Right.
is reduced to $550,000. It had been on the market for a long time. I think
Mhm.
the latest asking price was around $800,000. And if anyone has seen it in person, you know it needs a lot of love. It needs
Sure.
some renovation. But House of David history,
Mhm.
prime spot in an area of Benton Harbor that's undergoing a lot of attention and revitalization. So, uh, talked with Chris Siriano after you and I spoke. You gave me his contact information. I talked to Chris. We went out to the site and posted a video on our WSJM website today.
That's pretty awesome. So what was his sort of cliff notes of some of the things and the great amenities that are offered in this? Because of course, when I hear fireproof, that's pretty nice to hear as an owner of a building. Um, what else were some of the highlights?
Well, let's start there. Let's start at the fireproof. Why is it fireproof? Well, I have to assume it's because of the masonry that they put in
Mm.
place to build the outside structure of the House of David Hotel. It's the concrete blocks were made here locally in Benton Harbor. They were made by the House of David folks, and they contain 17 different ingredients, including seashell. So it's a concrete mixture. The seashell in it makes it, I think what Chris Siriano told me was it makes it like cold rolled steel. So it
Oh
makes it
wow.
very tough. They had engineers out recently to examine the structure and talk about it. It's been in place since they started construction. They put it into construction in 1921. We're now in 2023, and the engineers thought it's got another 100 years in it, easy. The basement's dry. We were talking last week about how do you judge if it's a good investment? Well, the basement's dry, the roof's
That's
new,
nice.
so there you go. But the bricks itself, are amazing. One of the interesting things that Chris told me, and, we talked about it a little bit further off camera, was that the columns that you see flanking the
Hmm.
building itself, the building was originally supposed to be 7 stories.
Okay.
They stopped at 4. But they built columns for 7. So where are those columns? Well, right now, after being in a farm field for many years, they're sitting in a barn somewhere on Red Arrow Highway.
Wow. Now, there's one key thing that is in there, and I don't know if we should just tell people to go check out the video, WSJM.com. But one thing that stuck out for me, and this is great for any time anybody is buying a building, and if you're wanting to be an owner or a landlord, uh, you already have built-in residents at
Yeah.
the place because they got ghosts.
I couldn't resist. I couldn't resist. I mean, come on, the building's been here for 100 years. There
Yeah.
has to be a ghost story or 2. So I asked Chris, I said, "All right, tell me about the ghosts. Are there any ghosts in there?" And he got a twinkle in his eye, and he said, "Well, Michigan ghost hunters came out some years back, and they went through the building, and they said they saw some orbs."
Oh.
Yeah, and apparently that's the thing you see is
Yep.
orbs. So, but he says, he's been in there so many times, he's never had an experience like that, but it was interesting.
That is pretty exciting because the great part about ghosts, and you know this, when you have a ghost living somewhere, you could sell an apartment twice. because the ghost doesn't really take up space, but you've got another resident that could probably pay you rent. So
Well,
that's
yeah, I mean, the biggest complaint is they're stomping on the floor too hard, not a problem.
exactly not a
Yeah.
big deal because again, the place is built like a fortress and has 17 different minerals and all kinds of great things going on. So again, uh, pretty awesome piece of history that you could own. I think that doesn't come on the market very often. We just need investors to be able to make this happen
If
because
you and I are gonna make it this happen, is that what yeah,
absolutely, because
okay,
that's my goal is I wanna own this thing, and I think it's a like you said, it's part of a great part of the community, lots of really cool things happening. We just need $550,000.
well, and there's a lot of room there. I mean,
Yeah,
we're never gonna hear each other because it's 44,000 square feet. It has
absolutely.
5 basements.
Fi Who needs 5 basements?
I said, "Chris, what do you mean 5 basements?" Well, they're not stacked on top of each other because that would
Okay,
be really cool if it were, but
yeah,
they're individual basements that are walled off for each of the shops that were in there. So there was a vegetarian
sure,
restaurant, there was the bakery, there was a television repair shop in there at one time, and so each had their individual basement that they could use as they needed for stock and goods and the like.
pretty cool
But
stuff.
yeah, it's gonna take, I mean, in all seriousness, it's gonna take somebody with a lot of capital and a
Mhm,
lot of vision to bring that building into what it can be, and the idea always was to have retail at the ground floor and residences of some sort, either hotels or apartments, or I imagine now common today would be condominiums,
mhm,
uh, in the above floors, but having that location, I mean, it's all about location, 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 so
of
as
course.
that area gets revitalized, somebody with, again, the vision and the capital could find that quite a lucrative investment.
Absolutely. If you wanna go check out that full story, video as well, go to WSJM.com and the WSJM app. But Ken, thank you so much for, checking in on that, and, look forward to hearing more.
It's my pleasure. Let's do this again.